Hello again, and welcome back to the trench. So, infantry has been around for years, literally since the dawn of war, which is invented by ants, weirdly enough, because ant things. So, in today's video of choice, we're going to be seeing what faction in Warhammer 40k has the best battle line infantry across all factions apart from three, being Chaos Knights and Imperial Knights, because it's kind of obvious what would win that, and Chaos Demons, because they've not really been updated in about 7 years. So yeah, apart from that, all other factions are on the table. So let's get it started with the...
In his name we bring fiery retribution!
So, starting off with the Sisters of Battle, they have a lot of weapons. A lot. I mean, that's not even the end of it. That's legit all I could screenshot to get on it, but there's more. But honestly, they're solid in my opinion. Movement is 6, toughness 3, 3 up, which is kind of big in my opinion. 6 invuln, only a wound, but it's not too terrible. They cost 105 points, which is pretty solid, but you can't increase it. I've got 20 squad assistants, it's only 10. Their abilities follow the whole like miracle dice thing, the act of faith. So apart from that, they've really only just got sticky objective, which is, I mean, it's good, but if we are looking here for the best infantry, then they're not great by a chance. I mean, only being one wound doesn't help. 105 points for only 10. I mean, if you want to swarm the board, I get it ain't swarm army, but it doesn't really work. But the war gear ability isn't bad. The whole D6 on a 4+, you gain a miracle dice, which is good for the whole miracle system. But if I had to rank these, just because of how many guns they have, and you could fit them into any meta, whether it's like tank treading or depending where you're going, I'll rank these a solid B.
I love gold!
Moving on to the Custodes, the Golden Boys, the Emperor's finest, as you could say. So they're pretty good to be fair. Movement is 6, toughness 6, 4 up invuln and save on 2. 3 wounds is massive as well, but 150 points for 4 Custodes. 4. To add an extra one, it's another 40 points coming to 190. So they're not really good in the point department, but I know that Custodes are like the elite of the elite. There's not much, but you know, a 5th one for like 150 or 180 be a little bit better. But weapon wise, brilliant. What, 2 attacks, hitting on 2s, saves on 4s, armor piercing, 2 damage, brilliant. Melee even better. Absolutely fantastic. Abilities, Deep Strike is huge, especially for Custodes. Sentinel Storm in your shooting phase, you can shoot again. Brilliant, that's just a bit overpowered. And yeah, and they can reroll wound rolls. Honestly, solid infantry, like very solid. I think the only thing that lets them down is the point cost, because 4 Custodes for 150 points is a little bit much, especially only for 4. So I would put these in A tier.
Oh, I love my gadgets! I love me gadgets!
Now, going on to the Adeptus Mechanicus, they have 2 battle line infantry, so we'll focus on one first, being Sicarii Rangers. So, the Sicarii Rangers, to be fair, are alright, to be fair. I mean, they have 6 movement, 3 toughness, 4 up save, 5 up invuln with 1 wound. So, like, majority of normal infantry. 85 points, and only come in squads of 10. I mean, that's fine. I think maybe they should come in squads of 20 as well. But they have scout 6 as well, so they can scout forward 6 inches, which is good. They also have sticky objective, like quite a few of infantry really, but their weapons are pretty good actually. Like the arc rifle, anti-vehicle, that's pretty good to be fair, and -1 AP though on an anti-vehicle weapon just doesn't really feel right. They have plasma weapons. I mean, they make your weapons, so you would think that they would. Really good there. And then the melee weapons, they're just box standard, really. As well as the war gear, pretty good. I mean, you get more command points pretty easily just by doing their stratagem. But for the Sakari Rangers, I will probably give them a B. Moving on to the Sakari Vanguards, there's not much that's really different. The only things that are different is the ability of them, which is that they can just reduce the objective control of the enemy that's on the same point as them. But I don't know if I would actually pick that over having sticky objective, because the AdMech in general, I don't believe I have much like far back artillery sort of things. So I don't actually think that would actually really come in useful here. So yeah, and then the other thing that they have over the AdMech, the previous AdMech, is the Omnispec, which ranged attack still ignores cover, which is really good. Like really good, because you can just shoot through walls and everything. But it's infantry. I don't think you really need it on infantry to be going, oh yeah, I'm going to use them to shoot all of that through cover. It's nice, but I don't think it's needed. So I would give the Sakari Vanguards a C. I mean, 95 points instead of 85. Yeah, I'll give it a C.
I'm dying. Help me.
Now we're on to the Aldari, the people who made a Chaos God, but not directly, but are an offshoot from the people who did make the Chaos God, but are actually the originals. You get the point. So we're going to start off with the Corsair Void Reapers, right? These are pretty good, to be fair. I mean, movement of 7, toughness 3, 4 up save, 1 wound. I mean, it's decent, it's decent. I also couldn't find the model for these anywhere. So, unless they stop making them, or are a thing from another kit, I'm not entirely sure. But they cost 65 points for a squad of 5, 110 for a squad of 10. Which is really good point-wise, to be fair, because you don't want your infantry taking up too much. Scout 7, so good movement already. The weapons, brilliant. I mean, almost everything has armor piercing. I feel like I'm playing Tau. So these are really good. And it comes with a Wraith Cannon. Fantastic. The range is a bit lackluster, don't get me wrong. But it's still really good. It basically is just Tau 2.0. But for abilities, I mean, at the start of the battle, select 1 unit from your opponent's army, and then it's basically like you mark them, essentially. They gain lethal hits and precision if you target that. As well as a mist shield where you can get a 4-up invuln. These are really good. Shame that you can't buy them anymore though. I don't think. So I think, generally, cheap, brilliant armor piercing on everything. It's 3+ for majority of the weapons, so you're basically bound to hit. The strength is a bit lackluster on some of them, but ultimately it's all high. I would actually give these an S, because cheap, they're going to get into a battlefield quick with Scout. They have a decent ability, or a really good ability, for taking out long range, more heavy stuff. So yeah, I would actually give these an S. So next up in the Aldari range is the Guardian Defenders. Now, these are okay-ish from a brief look over before this. I mean, they've got basically the same movement and range as the last ones. Basically the same weaponry. But what really lets them down is the abilities. I mean, cost-wise, pretty good. 100 points for 10. Brilliant. But fleet of foot, you can just fall back, really. Or fade back, as they call it. But it doesn't really... I don't think it helps that much. I mean, it's infantry, sure, you can fall it back. It'll be fine. But if it had like sticky objective or something else that would help infantry like spread out, because realistically you're not going to want it doing too much damage. It'll help, but it's not there to do damage. While it also has crude platform, which is the heavy weapon platform. Having a heavy weapon is good, but it's like when the last person dies, it also dies, which makes sense. But it's just, yeah, I just don't think it works well with infantry. So I'd probably give these C. They're not great. So yeah, I'll give it a C. Now on to the final one in the Aldari range, the Storm Guardians. So the Storm Guardians, to be fair, are what I was basically talking that should be improved the last one in this one. I mean, what, they have Storm Blades, which is basically just sticky objective. They have really dumb attacks like Fusion Gun, -4 armor piercing. Painful. Good movement. I mean, 7 movement is still the same. Still have that heavy weapons platform, which I don't know what this one does. I think it could be like a shield of some sort. Yeah, it is. Shield, yeah. I've just read down there. But also, they get a 5-up invuln save with that being alive. Even though 5-up, it was 5-up. It's not brilliant, but it's still really good for infantry. So, I'm going to give these. I don't know, I'm thinking of a B, but now I'm thinking now they deserve an A. Yeah, we'll get a job. Might as well. We'll give it an A because honestly, they're basically what you want from infantry. So an A is deserved.
For every one of us who falls, 10 more will take his place!
Now on to the meat shields of the Imperium, the Imperial Guard with vast regiments, but we're not all gonna. They're not all there, but there's a vast majority of them. You know, you got the ones inside the walls and ones not inside the walls. It's like a stack and titan now. But no, we are first gonna. So there's 3. I'm gibbering on at this point, but there's 3 different infantries in the Imperial Guard range. So we'll start with the bog standard, which is the Cadian Shock Troopers. So the Cadian Shock Troopers they're okay. I mean, they have sticky objective, which is good, to be fair. It's always good to have sticky objective. Movement of 6, toughness 3, and saving throw of 5, and a wound of 1. And an OC of 2, actually, which is pretty good. Most units, especially infantry, mainly only have 1, so having it 2 is actually really beneficial to holding objectives, with them being on it. I mean, there is no real downside to them. I guess the guns are not too great, but they do have good guns with armor pierce and stuff like that if you equip them. The save and throw of 5 is kind of terrible. I mean, don't get me wrong, these are not like elite infantry or whatever. But it's not brilliant. It's not brilliant at all. Point-wise, though, Cadian Shock Troopers are 65 for a group of 10 and 120 for a group of 20. Which is actually really good. I mean, if you want to clump them up, which, to be fair, Guard is a Horde army. It's meant to be clumped up and get involved. The war gear options as well are actually pretty good, if you have an officer. So, to be fair, if I was going to rank these, I'll give the Cadian Shock Troopers a B. Now on to the Arnies from the Astra Militarum. So the Catan Jungle Fighters are a little lackluster in my opinion. I mean, they're supposed to be people who like are deep in jungles, they're really like tactical, they're gonna come up and just stab you, you know, stuff like that. But they're just lackluster. Don't get me wrong, they have a Scout of 6 and the ability they have do match them. But 1 to the wound roll. It's good, but they're rarely going to be hitting in the first place. And the close combat weapons is nothing great. 1 attack hitting on 4 strength 3. It should be like a knife that deals like 2 attacks, maybe hitting on 3 strength 4 instead, because then it would work a bit better. Because mate, they look hench. They bench like 4 of me, right? But it doesn't hit home as well as their toughness. These people, like I said, look like they do professional bodybuilding for a living, and they've got a toughness of 3 and a saving throw of 5. They're not good. I mean, their weapons are bad as well. The Scout 6 doesn't really help them in this scenario, so I would give these, I think, the first D of the video, because they're really not great. Now on to the last one for the Imperial Guard, and my favourite, the Death Corps of Krieg. So I may be biased here, but I will not be going off my love for the Krieg and purely just stats. So, the stats for the Kriegsmen are rather good. I mean, it's still got the same stuff as every other bog standard infantry, in the Imperial Guard being 6 movement, 3 toughness, 5 saving throw, 1 wound, and the exact same. The weapons are also the exact same, apart from a few other ones to stand out, like the plasma gun, as well as that's about it really actually. Which adds a big armor piercing thing to it. But what I believe stands them out to the other ones is the abilities and the war gear options. The fact of if you bring a medipack that you can bring back your infantry that's already died is fantastic. I mean, the whole point of infantry is basically to be like a meat shield. So if you can keep them in the game longer to, one, help hold objectives as well, and then keep them just pushing back bigger things as you focus on other things with your other troops, is huge. As well as Grim, no, if you can try and pronounce that, but essentially it's just they get stronger the more worn down they get. So after a while, when you can't bring them back, they're just going to get stronger and stronger, which is fantastic. These aren't S tier by any means, because, let's be honest, it's let down in the weapon department and the toughness department. It's not great, and the save and throw department. If the save and throw went to a 5 to a 4, these would be an S tier infantry. So I'm going to give them A, but if they just had 1 less toughness, they would be perfection. But A is wrong on purpose.
Chaos has delivered us to you.
Now, a little bit of chaos we are on to now, which the only bad thing is, but now we're starting the chaos ones off with a bit of a letdown. So, the chaos cultists, they're, yeah, a letdown. Because, I mean, they're basically bog standard. I mean, movement is 6. They don't even have scout, which I think would make them better. Save and throw of 6+, which is terrible. Melee weapons, yeah, it's just eh. Not even a bolt pistol can save them that they can be equipped with. The only thing that I think is an upside, and why I'm not going to put these in D, is they have sticky objective, which I get, which is good. So maybe bring like a squad or 2 of these. It'd be good, just go around and put them on objectives and move them around the board. But apart from that, I don't see any actual other use for these. They're really bad. So they're going to be a C. Now on to something a bit more better. Some actual Chaos Space Marines. The Legionnaires are... They're pretty solid, to be fair. I mean, 90 points for 5, 170 for 10. Point-wise, they're a little bit high. But, to be fair, 6 movement, 4 toughness, a 3 up save, and 2 wounds. Pretty good. Their weapons, decently solid. I mean, they have... I generally think every single Chaos weapon ever invented in their datasheet, but there's that. Their abilities are really good. Maybe not really good, but they are pretty good. Like, you can reroll a wound attack of 1s every 1s, but only on melee attack, which isn't terrible. But I don't think they have much like movement to get in, because we've only got 6, which is a bit up in the air, really, depending on your playstyle. The war gear is solid. So yeah, they're really just a solid. They're solid. They're not anything great. They're not anything bad. So I'll give them a B, really, because they're not great. They're not bad. They're middle. So a B.
It's enough to make a man sick.
So moving on to the Death Guard now. They are surprisingly solid, to be fair. I mean, 5 movement, 6 toughness, 3 up save, 2 wounds. Perfect, honestly. Because they're not too weak, but they're not also strong enough to like be like, okay, they're a bit too overpowered. They're basically perfect. They've got about 1,000,000 weapons, which is good. The point range is a bit weird, in my opinion. 95 for 5, 130 for 7, and 190 for 10. Bit strange, but it's okay. Point-wise, I guess. I mean, 200 points for infantry is not great if you're running 10. But the thing, you can run 10 at a cheaper rate. Just run 295s. Oh no, it still adds up to 190, actually, no, forget that. So yeah, running a lot of infantry is expensive, so they're not really going to have much. In terms of abilities as well, I don't know what Inflicted does, I can't tell you, but I would guess it's some kind of like mark. And the War Gear ability is a bit so mainly because of the weapons and their just general stats, they're gonna get a B, but it would have been higher if the abilities weren't as meh.
Rape them, so y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they raping them.
So, moving on to the Slanesh makers themselves, right? We have the Drakari. So, we'll start the 3 of them off, because there's 3, with the Kabbalite Warriors. So, they're pretty good to be fair. I mean, movement 7, toughness 3, a little bit lacking in that department. 4 up save, 1 wound, but with a 6+ invan. Pretty good. They got dumb armor piercing on some of their weapons, which are they're not the normal weapons, but that is really dumb. Like what, Dark Lance, 1 attack hit on 4s, 12s, -3 AP, but D6 +2. Yeah, that's just painful. They've also got Sticky Objective, solid. Majority of their weapons are anti-infantry, so you can just deal with other people's infantry. 10 for 130 points is actually really good. And then in your shooting phase, you can spend a pain token, which is like the whole thing, and you can roll wound rolls. That's just brilliant. These are actually just generally really good. How come the Eldari and the Jakari have some of the best infantry? Like, you wouldn't expect it. You would think the Space Marines would be higher up. Because, I mean, it's a Space Marine, they're a walking demigod. But apparently not. But reading this, I have to give them an S as well. They're brilliant. The armor piercing is solid. They're all anti-infantry. Assault as well, meaning they're just going to do even more damage. Sticky objective, and if you can build pain from them, so you can just reroll wounds and hits so that you'll stay alive longer. These are fantastic. So yeah, S for these. Now on to my favourite unit in the Jakari, the Rax, sorry. These are actually quite good. I mean, 7 movement, 4 toughness, 5 saving throws a bit but it's got an inv on a 6, 2 wounds. So it loses a saving throw but gains a wound from the last ones. Don't think that's really worth it, if I'm being honest. But the weapons, fantastic. Basically everything's got armor piercing and anti-infantry, meaning these are just going to be ripping through other infantry. Abilities, they've got the whole pain system again, so it mainly targets melee, because majority of the units in this squad are melee units, meaning that if you can charge, get them involved, they're just going to be doing house. The other ability they have is to do with the shooting phase and fight phase, and it basically just makes it so where they have to go for a battle shock, which is really dumb. Like, these are brilliant as well. Why is the Chikari one so good? Like, don't get me wrong, the health department does bring it, like the saving throw brings it down, and the fact that it's mainly melee and it brings it down just a little bit. But these are at A tier, in my opinion. Now onto the final unit in the Chikari infantry area of expertise. We have the witches, I guess, but spelt with a Y instead of a H and I, a C and a H, and various other letters in between. But yeah, toughness 3, 6 plus save, 6 plus invuln. So basically, you just always hitting on a 6. I don't really think they might as well just got the save and throw and just put the invuln in. 1 wound, and these are the worst out of all of them. They are quite terrible. I mean, they're also the cheapest at 90. Apart from a 5-star of Rax, which is 65, which I forgot to mention, but it's here now. I mean, don't get me wrong, majority of their weapon, I mean, 2 of them have anti-infantry, but the abilities are really lackluster. I mean, no escape, which is just, you can go in when they fall back. Don't know where that's going to be useful in much areas. So these are if I had to rate them, which I do because it's all promised in the video, is a C. They're not great, and I mean you have 2 heavy hitters in a Jakari range. There has to be one that just kind of went and flopped off, and that is these. So yeah, C.
Rape them, so y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they raping their.
Now it's time for Slaanesh herself. We've done the people who started Slaanesh, now it's time for her. So, Demonettes, right? That's what we're starting off with. 9 movement, solid. Toughness 3, meh. Save and throw 7 plus. How does that work? Do I roll 2 dice, making it technically so I only need, giving me greater odds technically because I only need a 6 and a 1 on the second dice, or is it a thing that I always have to roll my invuln? I'm looking this up quickly to see what Google says. But as I look Google up and see what he says on the 7 plus, we can go through the rest of it. So, melee wise is the only thing we have. With devastating wounds, really good. I mean, 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, and strength 4, -1 AP, damage 1 is a little lackluster. But the chances are you're not going to be using these against anything big with a lot of health. So you should be alright. They have deep strike and fights first, meaning they're gonna always fight in the fight phase first, which now that's out loud is kind of obvious by the term fights first. But just in case for the people in the back, right? So deep strike is good as well. I mean, you might as well put them in the back of their lines, and you could use them to take out. That's the thing, I don't actually know what you would deep strike these with to take out, because you would want these dealing with just other infantry. So I don't get how you're going to be able to use it against anything that would be in someone's back line. Okay, now I'm just going to look it up. I haven't been writing because, I can't think and type at the same time. I'm lacking in that department. But also their ability is just... really? Just one second. There's going to be a very long blank bit here where there's no sound as I'm typing. But I'll go over the ability because I just said it's But subtracting 1 from the result if the unit's behind half strength, and then you get them to run a battle shock test. Battle shock in my time playing, I haven't come across even once. I don't even think it's useful. So I don't think there's really a point in battle shock. Right, so it says here you just roll a single-sided die. Instead, you must roll a natural 6 followed by a specific follow-up roll or utility modifiers. Typically, a 7 plus is just achieved by rolling a 6, then rolling a +4 on a second die. So, after all that being said, yeah, they're basically horrible, right? So they're going straight into D2. I made you wait all that time for that. Apologies. Now, hopefully, onto something actually good in the range of the Emperor's Children, the Infractors, yes. So, 7 movement, solid. 4 toughness, solid. 3 plus, solid. 2 wounds, solid. I think I've said solid more in that sentence than I ever have in my whole life, but is what it is. Right, bolt pistol is pretty good to be fair. 12 range is terrible. I take it back. Plasma weapons, basically everything apart from the bolt pistol has armor piercing, and the infractors are a more melee style of the Marines in the region. You get what I mean, right? I mean, dueling swords will have precision. I don't know what precision does. It does something. It has Scap 6 as well. Brilliant. I mean, especially whether a melee unit, you want to get them in, stop ripping and tearing. Excessive assault, each time a model in this unit targets an enemy with a melee weapon, reroll wound roll of 1. Pretty good to be fair. And if they are in a range of an objective, you can just reroll of them. Well, just the wound roll. And the war gear ability is pretty good as well. These are actually really solid. I mean, the only thing that lets stand a bit is the bolt pistol, but that's not too big of a deal really. You're going to be using these mainly in melee. So it's realistically down to point wise, which, to be fair, for 5 is 85, and for 10 is 160. So not actually too terrible. These are actually really good as well. So I'm going to give these S as well. They're really good. They're solid. Actually, maybe not S because they don't have like anti-infantry and stuff like how the Jakari and the Aldari did. So I'll give these an A instead because they are very solid. So now we're on to the final one in the Slaneshi range, which is the Tormentors, which are the ranged variant of the other one, but the other one's a technically a variant of this one. A lot of variants, but they're solid to be fair. I think these are basically just the other ones, but swap the melee to range. And they have sticky objective, which is brilliant. The only thing they don't have is the scout, but I don't think that's too terrible because they're more ranged. And honestly, the armor piercing on the plasma pistol, the plasma gun, and the melter, brilliant. And for that reason, as well as like the armor piercing on the melee, the strength is brilliant. I think these are an S, if I'm being honest. The movement is 7, which is pretty good. Toughness 4, bit of a letdown. If it was 5, it would be like S. It should be. You don't really need much toughness in infantry. It's infantry, but toughness 4 is brilliant still. 3+, fantastic. Wounds 2. These are brilliant. So yeah, these are an S.
Same, but different. But still same.
So moving on now to the Gene Stealers, the weird looking Tyranid people who can transform into humans. Yes. Starting off the Acolyte hybrids with auto pistols. Now, they're something, right? They've got movement of 6, toughness 4, 5 up. Save, which is a bit air. 1 wound, air. The melee is brilliant. I mean, got really good armor. Well, it's got armor piercing. It's not really good armor piercing, but it has armor piercing and it has anti-vehicle. Don't know why you need your infantry to have anti-vehicle, but it's there. Ranged is horrid, if I'm being honest. I mean, it's only auto pistols with 12 range and 1 attack, so you're realistically barely going to be hitting with that. It has got deep strike, but I still don't believe that deep strike will be good on infantry because you want your more beefier units to have deep strike, like how the I forgot the name of the unit, but it's like how other units in other factions that are like in the other data sheet categories have deep strike, but they're more tankier, they can do more damage, rather than sending your infantry in and hoping for the best. The other thing that they have, which is their ability, is basically, it's just basically control points, so command points, sorry, so CP, which, yeah, I mean, there are other better ways to get CP, but I guess I think if you have like 1 or 2 of these and let them bounce off each other isn't terrible. I mean, they come in squads of 5 for 65 points, and then you can up them to 10 for 130. So maybe having 2 little 5-man squads of these running about the battlefield doing their shenanigans may not be a bad thing. But if I had to rate them, they're not great. So, but I don't think they're D, because of the melee, and if you get involved, you're going to do a decent bit of damage. So I'm going to give them a C. Now, in the good old Gene Stealer situation, we now have basically the exact same unit, but instead they have flamethrowers, which is better, but not that better, in the sense of they basically have the exact same stats. They have a hand flamer, which its strength probably should be 4 instead of 3, but it's there. And then they also have a demolition charge. That is really good. That is actually quite good. They still have deep strike, meaning that actually is somewhat useful now because of the whole demolition charge, as well as industrial destruction, which is each time a model in this unit makes an attack reroll a rune total of 1, and if they're on an objective marker, you can reroll the wound roll. Now this is not actually that bad. It can be used. I can see what's it called? I can see scenarios, that's it, where this would actually be really useful. But they also only come in squads of 5 for 70 points and squads of 10 for 140. Meaning that technically you could just have 6 of these, deep strike them all in, and then just demolition charge about the same thing about 18 times. Well, 6 times, but you get the thing. Which, that is why, in my opinion, these are like a... For that one scenario, this singular scenario, I'm going to put them in A because of that one scenario. Now we're on something a bit different in the good old Gene Stealer battleline list of things. We have the Neophyte hybrids, butchered that, but they are basically the exact same in terms of stat-wise in the top left there. Still have deep strike and have basically every single weapon in the Gene Stealer arsenal. If I'm being honest, very mid. Very, very, very mid. I mean, they've got sticky objective, which is good. That always brings them up. But they are actually just really mid in terms of weapons. They are barely going to hit. Unless the special ones hit. The melee weapons are just really mid as well because they're not on the Space Marine, meaning it doesn't have the strength of the Space Marine increasing it. So these are generally just a B. They're really mid. They're not going to do much. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're really cheap to bring. A 10-man squad being 65 points and a 20-man squad being 145. So it's very cheap just to bring them in. But they're not great. So they are a solid B.
We are the warriors of the Grey Knights.
Now on to the Grey Knights, the people who deal with chaos, but also think that they can take on the Custodies, which is kind of dumb, because they can't. But they have Terminators as a baseline infantry, which is just kind of stupid. But they're here, and they have a movement of 5, toughness 5, safe and throw of 2, brilliant. 4 up invuln, brilliant. 3 wounds, fantastic. In terms of just pure stats, they're brilliant. Weapon-wise, they have flamethrowers with armor piercing, brilliant. Weapons with really good strength, they're hitting on 3s, multiple attacks, 24 range, decent damage, I mean apart from the 1s, but to be fair, you're going to be hitting with them so much, the 1s will just add up with them. The majority of their attacks are psychic as well, and the melee weapon is also really damn. So, they are really good, just generally really good. They have deep strike as well, that's really good as well, because especially with Terminators, because they're that beefy that if you deep strike them in the back, they can actually do something this time, instead of the other infantry we've had where they wouldn't be able to do much. So that's good. They also have good war gear abilities. I mean, it's just objective control and space gear really, but their abilities mainly focus towards monsters and vehicles. No, it's not focused towards monster vehicles, so it's excluding monsters and vehicles. I can't read. So it's each time a model in this unit makes a melee attack, that target gets a unit that's not a monster vehicle. Improve the armor penetration of that characteristic by 1. If it has psychic, that is, which is dumb. because half their abilities have psychic, I mean you're going to be doing more and more armor piercing. These are because we're their Terminators and they shouldn't be here, but they are here, but they shouldn't be. They are an S tier infantry. They're just brilliant. I think the only thing that would bring them up to like SS, which isn't a thing, but we're going to say it's a thing now, is 6 movement, just like 1 more inch of movement, because then that could help you in the charge so much. But honestly, S tier. Now, moving on to the unit in the Green Knights that actually should be the battle line and Terminator shouldn't. We have the Strike Squad. So, movement 6, toughness 4, save and throw of 2. What? 2? These are just basically normal Space Marines. Alright then, wounds are 2, very solid, especially for saving for a 2. Okay, they got Incinerator, so flamethrower with armor piercing, more psychic attacks, so it works basically the same. They have sticky objective, I think, at the end of your command. Yeah, they have sticky objective, which is solid. The close combat weapons is brilliant. I mean, the second one's still got armor piercing. All their weapons do multiple attacks, hitting on threes and have good strength. They have deep strike and scout. So what? Okay, I get that they cost 120 points for a squad of 5 and 240, so they are very expensive. But Grey Knights don't have a lot anyway. Why are they so overpowered? Me saying that now, watch, I'm gonna leave, go on YouTube, right? Vibe. First video I see is gonna be a battle against Grey Knights and like Tyranids, and then they're just gonna get absolutely bodied. And I'm gonna be like, ah. But from what I'm seeing, these are also S tier. They're brilliant. Save and throw of 2. Toughness 4 does mean that they're going to be getting hit more. But they've got the same throw 2 and armor piercing 1s is just a 3. Or if they get hit 2, it's a 4. Fantastic. The only bad thing is obviously they don't have an invuln. But they don't need an invuln. Their save and throw is so low. So yeah, I'm going to give them an S. They're fantastic.
Who are you? I'm the you you've always wished to be.
We are now moving on to the Imperial Agents. You know, the people who have access to exterminators when they shouldn't have access to exterminators. Because they're kind of douchebags. Well, they just are. They're not kind of, they just are. But we're going to start off with the Aquila kill team. Now, I couldn't find a picture of a model for this. So, you're just going to have to make do on the good old tier list of just this picture that you're looking at now. So they're not too terrible, having 6 movement, 4 toughness, 3 up save and 2 wounds for the sergeant of the Death Watch kill team, as well as the Gravis veteran having a 5 up, not a 5 movement, sorry, a toughness 6, 3 wounds, and then a 3 up saving throw. See, they're not bad. Like, they have tons of weapons with good armor piercing and good like hits and strength and stuff like that. But I don't understand why the Inquisition have access to them. I mean, it makes sense, I guess, because they would send them there to deal with planets and help with the controlment of like Seminaris and that. But yeah, it's just a bit confusing. Like, the other ones that they have later on, when we get past the kill teams, are actually interesting and make sense. So they make more sense. But yeah, I mean, their abilities as well is death to an alien, which is each time a model in this unit makes an attack, you can reroll a hit roll of 1. And if the target does not have the Imperium or Chaos keyword, you can reroll the hit roll instead, just like it fully, which is okay, but it doesn't really bring what infantry should be, in my opinion. Kill team is an ability which just each time you get attacked, you can change like the attack characteristic depending on the toughness of different things. They're not really great. I mean, they're cheap for 100 points, but they're not too great. Like yeah. So I'm gonna give them. I'll give them a B because they're alright, but I wouldn't say they go higher than a B. on to the last Death Watch Kill Team thingamajiggy for these people. I've totally definitely not forgot the name. The Imperial Agents. There we go. There we go. Right, so they're not bad at all. Realistically, they're still a kill team, so not great. So I don't think they're gonna rank too high. But let's have a look. Movement of 6, toughness 4, saving throw 3, and 2 wounds. Standard Space Marine stuff. They have some pretty decent weapons, apart from the bolt gun, which, to be fair, is actually, I think that's kind of worse than normal Space Marine bolt guns, because I think the range is shorter, I believe. The weapons, the melee weapons, are brilliant, all really good. And the ability is Death to the Alien. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, reroll hit roll of 1. If a target of that does not have the Imperium or Chaos keywords, you may reroll the hit roll instead. So they're okay. I mean, if you equip it with your starting shield, the bearer has a 4-up invuln. That's okay, but in terms of how well they are, I'm gonna say they're about roughly I'll give them a B as well. I don't think they're too great, I don't think they're too bad. They're just middle, really. They're alright. Now, sorry. Now we move on to something that's actually infantry-like. Right, we have some Imperial Navy breaches. With a movement of 6, a toughness of 3, a saving throw of 4, and a wound of 1. They're basically glorified guard. Mainly because I think they are a guard. Just different regiment of some sorts in... Yeah, they're there. Right, so they have auto pistols, a bolt pistol. Fair enough. Demolition charge, looking nice. Melter gun, Navis, we'll go with that one. Heavy shotgun, a Navis Lazarus volley, a Navis shotgun. Ah, see now it's not heavy. That's the only difference. Heavy shotgun, a plasma gun, and then the plasma gun supercharged. Melee weapons, your bog standards, your power weapons, chainswords, chain fist. What the hell is a chain fist? Do you know what? I'm going to put a picture of a chain fist right here, because I didn't even know they existed, but they're now there. The abilities are not too terrible. We have the breaching team, which each time a model in this unit makes an attack, you roll a wound roll of 1, and if the target's within the range of an objective marker, you can basically just reroll the whole wound instead, which is actually really good, because it basically allows you to roll 2, keeping them on the board. See, there are 2 kinds of infantry that you really want. You want one for objectives, and then one for just like soaking damage for the rest of your units to get in there and actually put on the damage, which I believe these are. They're like one that are just keep themselves there and hold down the fort for you. Their other ability is Gein's Skull, Gear's Skull, whatever it is there, right? And that ability is once per battle, when you have selected this unit as a target of the grenade stratagem, you can target one enemy unit visible to and within 18 inches of this unit, but is not within engagement range of any units from your army, instead of one within 8. So it basically just means that you have longer grenade stratagem throw, which is something. I mean, I don't know how much that's actually really going to help you, but it is there. Then the last ability is the CAT unit, or CAT unit, which is once per battle, when this unit is selected to shoot until the end of the phase, ranged weapons equipped by models in this unit gain it. It ignores cover ability. Now, not terrible, but it's infantry. I don't think infantry should really have ignores cover. I don't get me wrong, it's helpful. These are all pretty good, to be fair, right? But I don't know. If I had to rate them, I give them. I don't want to give everything a B, but these are B. They're just fair. But then again, I'm starting to think now I'm being a bit too harsh, but I'm going to give them a B as well. We now move on to the final one in the Imperial Agents battleline range. The Vigilant Squad with the Cyber Mastiff. Basically the Arbites? Do you know what, right? I call them Arbites, right? But I feel like I'm saying it wrong. Probably am, but There we go. Right. So they have a movement of 6, 3 toughness, sorry, 4 up save and throw, and 1 wound. So they're basically just guard again, but they look cooler and have a dog, meaning that they ultimately are just better, right? They have the Arbite shotgun, which is okay. I mean, to be fair, to attacks hitting on 4 strength 4 for a shotgun, you would expect it to be a bit more stronger. They have grenade launcher, a shot pistol, executioner shotgun, which is slightly better than the other shotgun because it does executioner things. The heavy stubber, which is probably another shotgun, and then the Weber, which I can only guess is a flamethrower because non-applicable on battle strength, ballistic skill. Sorry. They've then got melee weapons being the close combat weapons, and then the mechanical bite from the Cyber Mastiff, which should do armor piercing, and I think it's criminal that it does not. The abilities on the good old Vigilant Squad is Merciless Judgment, which is each time a model in this unit makes a ranged attack that targets a unit below half strength, add 1 to the wound roll, so it's good at picking off certain things. And it's got some war gear abilities to do with like Aura, which is like command phase and stuff like that, which is basically the first one is if you're within an objective marker of 6 inches of the bearer, all enemy units, excluding monsters and vehicles within range of that objective marker, must take a battle shock test. So battle shock. That's basically it. These are kind of mediocre, if I'm being honest. But and they've got a Mastiff, a Cyber Mastiff, a Robo Dog. Who doesn't love them? Most people who have ever played a game where you've been attacked by a cyber dog, but apart from that, who doesn't know? Which is, it's a letdown really. But if I had to rate these, because actually I was gonna say because they have like armor piercing that it saves them, but I don't think it does. Well, I'm gonna give them a C. I don't think they can go anywhere higher. There's nothing that really pushes them outwards, so they're gonna have to be a C. Now on to, in my opinion, the most underrated faction in Warhammer, the Leagues of Votann. And now they only have 1 battle line because they are technically the newest faction. Apart from Emperor's Children, which is most recent, but that's really just chaos. I mean, it is a new faction, but I mean like new race faction. So we've got League. They're not bad to be fair, actually. Movement of 5, 5 toughness, which is actually kind of good. Same for a 4 and wound of 1. Realistically, pretty solid. They have sticky objective as their ability as well. Fantastic. As well as patrical scanning, which is each time a model in this unit makes a ranged attack, reroll a hit roll of 1, meaning you'll be hitting more anyway. Which is just brilliant. Honestly, these aren't bad. They're actually really good. I mean, the weapons have a lot of armor piercing. In majority of them, that's not baseline, which is good. They have a feel no pain of 6 as well, which is just, it just brings them more up really. As well as melee weapons, brilliant. Both apart from close combat have -2 AP, which means you're just going to be going through anything you fight. These are, they're not S, but they are A, so that is what I will give them.
I've got nothing left.
Oh yes, time for the Necrons. The people who went to people, wanted immortality, got rejected, went to someone else like a jealous sex and was like, we want immortality, then got immortality, went towards the said people who they originally asked for immortality, who said no, killed all them, then went towards the people who did give them immortality because they wasn't happy with how they got said immortality. But the infantry it's alright. You'll see. Right? So they've got movement of 5, a toughness of 5, 3 up save and throw, that's brilliant, and 1 wound. Their weapons aren't bad. The first one has lethal hits, 24 range, 2 attacks hitting on 3s, strength 5 and -1 AP. That is actually pretty good. Melee is melee, it's there, and their ability is implaceable eradication, which is each time a model in this unit makes an attack, reroll wound roll of 1. If the target of that enemy unit is in range of objective marker, you can reroll the wound roll instead, just completely. Which is pretty good. I mean, they're not great in terms of like taking objectives, which realistically you kind of want infantry to, but they're not bad in point wise either. I mean, 70 points for 5 and 150 for 10. Maybe having like a 10 stack and a 5 stack of these would be good if you roll it in. But if I had to give them a rating, I'll give them a B. There's nothing special about them. I mean, the saving throw 3 and top of 5 is nice. So yeah, I'll give them a B. Now we move on to the main block infantry in the Necron range. The Necron Warriors coming in a 10-man squad at 90 points and a 20-man squad at 200. They are surprisingly solid in the sense of 4 up save, movement of 5 and toughness 4. So don't get me wrong, I mean they're dying instantly for anything big. But the Gore's Flayers, lethal hits rapid fire, range 24, attack 1, bliss skill 4, strength 4, sorry. No AP but 1 damage, but the Gore's Reapers have lethal hits, and basically exact same stats and armor piercing, which is actually kind of strong if you have a whole squad of them. Sure, only 12 range, but most of your fights with your infantry should be kind of close, apart from the first one. But then their ability is the numbers is Legion, which is each time this units reanimation protocol activates, you can re-roll the dice to see how many wounds are reanimated. So you can basically just bring them back to life, which basically means if you have like 2 of these, maybe 3, I mean 600 points is a big chunk of your army, especially for a 2k list. But these could basically hold down an objective on their own just by constant reanimation, depending on how many die. So yeah, I'm gonna give them for that. I'm gonna give them an A because they are solid.
Orcs, 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 orcs.
Now it's time for the boys. Yeah, autistic if you couldn't tell. You got movement to 6, toughness of 5, saving throw of 5, and a wound of 1. Mediocre, in my opinion, very bad. And then the boss knob has a movement of 6, a toughness of 5, saving throw of 5, and a wound of 2. So he's realistically just got 1 more wound. Range weapons are horrible. If I'm going to be honest, hitting on 5, strength 4, so you're never really going to be hitting with range of 12. The melee is good though. Chopper, 3 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 5, 1 AP. Like, they're good. But they're that weak. They're going to die before they can even get in melee range. So it makes no sense. I mean, they've got a Feel No Pain at 6. They cost 95 points for 10 and then 190 for 20. And their ability is just targets monsters and vehicles and they can reroll hits. But I guess it's going to be useful because you're not going to be able to hit anything. But these are very bad in my opinion. And I'm going to give them a D. Unless, don't get me wrong, you can probably attach a hero to these and make them like 10 times better. But just going off base hero, they're not very good in my opinion from looking at the stats. So yeah, a D. Now we move on to just the boys. No beast stagger boys, just boys because boys. Yeah. So we're gonna move on now, like I said, to the boys. I'm repeating myself, probably should continue. But essentially they got basically the exact same stats in like movement, toughness, saving from wounds being legit the exact same. The range weapons are they're something. I mean, they're not as bad as the last ones, apart from the bliss skill on all of them is 4, which is actually dead and really crap. The melee weapons are again really good, but they're that weak you're not gonna be able to get in. But the only upside to these is the ability, which is basically just sticky objective, which I guess takes them up to a C just because of that. But these aren't great either, they're really bad. But fun fact actually, these were the people I first played 10th edition with. Or actually a game of Warhammer in general. Like, I'd collected them before, but I just could never find anywhere to play it. So I went to a hobby store near me and played the game against Improved Guard. Funny enough, it was like a combat patrol game, but this was when the it was before the newest one came out for it. So it would have been a Death Dread, two squads of boys, and a war boss in Mega Nob armor. And I actually won, and it was actually quite fun, especially against it was orcs and boys. But yeah, that was how I learned. And they're not bad, don't get me wrong, but they just die way too easily. I think it was one artillery battery that just wiped out one squad of my boys like completely. So I got absolutely destroyed there. And I feel like I'm going off track from talking about the rules. But yeah, back onto the rules. So I'm okay. If I had to give them a place of rating, I'll give them a C. I don't think they can go above because they're just too weak.
For the Emperor!
Now it's time for the face of Warhammer, the good old Space Marines. So we're gonna get it started off with the Assault Intercessor Squad. They're looking pretty decent to be fair. Got movement of 6, toughness of 4, saving throw of 3, and the wound roll just wounds of 2. The guns are also actually really good. Like the heavy bolt pistol has an arm pistol of 1 already, which is brilliant. It's only 1 attack, but it's hitting on 3 with strength 4. It's pretty good to be fair. You got the plasma pistol, which is a plasma pistol, so it's pretty good anyway. And then the hand flamer, which is just a flame weapon, so it basically just ignores and goes straight to wounds. Melee weapons are brilliant as well. All armor piercing, multiple attacks per 3 up, apart from the Thunder Hammer that's 4 up, but has devastating wounds. Fantastic, actually. Generally a really solid set of infantry. The faction ability though is where it gets down just the tiniest bit, because if these had like sticky objective or something, or like a scout 6, brilliant, top tier. But they don't. They have shock assault, which is still really good. Don't get me wrong, but it is each time in this unit's target. Sorry. Each time a model in this unit, I've got English, targets an enemy unit with a melee attack, reroll a wound roll of 1. And if that enemy unit is within an objective, you can reroll the wound roll instead. Now, actually, now that I've had a rethink about this is actually really good. Because melee attacks you're going to be hitting a ton of anyway. You're going to be throwing them out there like they're getting out of fashion. And to be able to reroll the ones you just didn't hit, because you're going to want these on objective markers anyway, is brilliant. So I actually judged these a bit too harshly, and I'm actually going to give these an S because they are perfect for what they're meant for. They're meant for, instead of controlling them, obviously controlling objectives, but they're meant to contest as well, which they achieve perfectly, because if you're contesting an objective, you're going to be in melee range. So yeah, S for these, they're perfect. We are now on to the Heavy Intercessor Squad. They're like the previous Intercessors, but instead of assault, they're heavy. So, heavy intercessors are basically the exact same, apart from they have 6 toughness instead of 4, have reduced movement by 1 to 5 instead of 6, have saving for 3 and 3 wounds instead of 2, which is very, very solid, to be fair. I mean, they're mainly going to be doing range damage than melee, because as you can see, they've got no melee at all, really. Sorry. Apart from close combat. So they've got a bolt pistol, which it's a K12 range, 1 attack, 3 plus ballistic skill and strength 4. But the heavy bolt rifles and the heavy bolter is where it really stands out. First of all, you're hitting on 3s. Strength 5, so it's gonna outdo a lot of toughnesses in other infantry. And an AP of -1 and 2 damage. You are going to be ripping through a ton of infantry with this, or actual like big units themselves. And their ability, which is unyielding in the face of foe, is while this unit is within range of an objective marker you control, each time an attack with a damage characteristic of 1 is allocated to a model in this unit, adds 1 to any armor saving throw made against that unit. Against that attack, sorry. So that basically just means that they're going to be able to live for longer, which is actually, it's not bad actually. I wouldn't give these an S, mainly because there's nothing that really brings them up. So they're an A though. So that's where I'm gonna give them. They're a solid A. Even point wise, to be fair, they're a solid A. Now we move on to the normal intercessors. We've done the heavy intercessors. We've done the assault intercessors. Now we have the intercessors. The normal ones. Yes. So they have some strange. Actually, to be fair, they're basically not normal Space Marines. Movement 6, 4 plus, the 4 plus. I get confused on the flipping saving throw and the toughness, right? Toughness of 4, saving throw 3 plus, and 2 wounds. Their weapons is basically like your normal box standard Space Marines. They have like other weapon options, which aren't terrible, don't get me wrong, but you can only probably have 1 or 2 of them on, which still helps, but it's mainly your bolt pistols, your bolt rifles. Which the bolt rifle is pretty good, to be fair. 2 attacks hitting on 3s, 4 strength, -1 AP. Not bad. Melee weapons are brilliant as well. Basically like the other ones from the assault intercessors, they're good. Objective secured, which is sticky objective, which is really good as well. These are actually really solid. And target elimination, which each time this unit is selected to shoot, it can use visibility. If it does, until the end of the phase, add 2 to the attack characteristic of the bolt rifles equipped by models in this unit. And you can only select 1 enemy unit as the target of all of this unit's attacks. So that is really good if you're going up against a big unit. So let's say for an instance, I'm controlling an objective with the intercessor squads and I'm versing Tyranids. And let's say he sent his Hive Lord, or he sent a what they called a Carnifex or something like that. These will just rip through him. Just rip through him so I can keep control of the objective. Which is actually really good. So for that as well, these are going to be getting another S from me, because in my opinion, I believe that they are brilliant. Even if their ability mainly focuses around range, their melee is good enough to not need that buff. So yeah, S from me. Now we move on to the tactical squad. They've basically got the same bog standard things from the other Space Marines, with the 6 movement, 4 toughness, 3 up saving throw, and 2 wounds. The only thing that makes them special is I generally believe that they have access to the longest list of weaponry in the game. Right? Now, that's not all of it. That is literally all I could screenshot. That's legit it. It still goes further, and that's not even saying melee weapons, which they also believe have access to basically everything. I could sit here for years and go through every single one of them, but I will just continue my run about how they have so many to give you a chance to read through without having to pause, read for 7 years, and then come back. So, yeah, naming off the ones that I can see, we have a bolt pistol, a bolt gun, a combi weapon, a flamer, a grav cannon, a grav gun, a grav pistol, a heavy bolter, a las cannon, a melter gun, a missile launcher frag, a missile launcher crack, yeah, a multi-melter, a plasma cannon standard, a plasma cannon supercharged, a plasma gun standard, a plasma gun supercharged, and then it continues. Who needs that many weapons? Even even a merchant in Resident Evil 4 didn't carry this much, and he's a merchant. Damn. But apart from the weapons, right, the ability, which is combat squad, is at the start of the declare battle formation step. Didn't even know that was a thing. Before any units have been set, I know I now know it's a thing. Before any units have been set up, this unit can split into 2 units, each containing 5 models. seems kind of useless in my opinion. Because sure, you're gonna split them up into fives, but then depending on where they deploy or where you deploy, don't get me wrong, this would be a great last deploy, split up into five depending on where you need the better guns. But if you just had all 10 guys in one squad, I mean, it's not a bad ability actually. Now I think about it, because you can split up right at the end. You can use them in different sectors to do different things. But the guns, you have that many options that, to be fair, it actually doesn't matter. So yeah, maybe actually their ability is good, because you can just get rid of all the bolt guns and bolt pistols and just put everything that's good on them. It's not a bad idea actually. Do you know, I might buy a box of these one day and just see how dumb they can get. If they still make them, because I don't think they do. They might. I think they might, but only online. But I'm going to give them an A, because for the sheer amount of weaponry alone, as well as they're not actually too bad, and the combat squads can help, because you can have, oh yeah, say let's put this 5 here, this 5 here, and then they can go take objectives and whatnot. But yeah, an A. And I still think they need less weapons, just a little bit. Now we move on to some more Space Marines, but not just normal Space Marines. These are the Space Marines that are specific to certain chapters. There being 3 being the Black Templars, which is the Crusader squad we're about to cover, and the other 2 being Space Wolves. So the Crusader squad has a movement of 6, a toughness of 4, a saving throw of 4, a wounds of 2 for the Neophytes. I've butchered that. And then the Space Marines have the exact same, but a saving throw of 3 plus. See, now the weapons are your bog standard Space Marine weapons, like your bolt rifle, your heavy bolt pistol, and then a couple of flames. And the melee weapons are basically the exact same as well. So basically, it's the exact same for like a normal Space Marine, so they are quite solid. Their ability, Righteous Zeal, is in your opponent's shooting phase. Each time an enemy unit has shot, if any models in this unit were destroyed as a result of those attacks, you can make a Righteous Zeal move. To do so, roll 1d6 and add 2 to result of this model in this unit. Move a number of inches up to this result, but this unit must end that move as close as possible to the closest enemy unit, excluding the aircrafts. So basically, they can just move closer in to get into melee combat, which are what they specialize in. I mean, they're Crusader squad. They crusade. If I had to rate these in a category, it would. They're not bad. To be fair, they are pretty good. I mean, they will make up, if you go in for a Black Templar list, majority of your list, because 1, they're just really cool, and 2, they're cool. They cost 150 points for a squad of 10, and you can bump it up to have more of each, and it costs 310 to have a squad of 20. If I actually did have to rate them though, I would rate them, give them, I want to give them an A, but yeah, I'll give them an A. I'll give them an A. Now we're moving on to the other units, which all belong to the Space Wolves. First one being Blood Claws. Now, Blood Claws are, they're alright. Okay, no, they're not alright. They're kind of mediocre. You get 10 of them for 135 points, 20 for 285. Movement of 7, 4 toughness, 3 up save, and 2 wounds. See, now, they are again a melee focused Space Marine unit, because I mean, well, one, the Blood Claws, and they're basically just intercessors with different names. Apart from they don't have all the weapon options of intercessors, and instead just have bolt pistols and plasma pistols, and obviously the melee weapons being the chainsword and the power weapon. Now, Berserk Charge is, I've used it in game. It's all right, but there's not that many. Actually, there is a lot of uses for it, especially if you're trying to get in with melee. But for an infantry perspective, it doesn't help you get to where you need to be to win the game, like objectives and stuff like that. Sure, obviously you can do the charge and that, which I understand, but there's no like sticky on it, or there's no like resurrect or stuff like that. Which I guess resurrects on Space Marines is kind of dumb because they can't resurrect if they're dead. They're dead. And maybe I'm judging this too harshly, but I'm gonna give these a B, mainly because I just don't believe that they're gonna survive very long. I mean, they can easily be shot from a distance quite easily, and have no way to reciprocate it back. So I'm gonna give them a B. Now on to the last one in the range of the more Space Marines. We have the Space Wolf Grey Hunters. Now, these are basically like the last ones, apart from they have more weapon options, which I would say bumps them up a little bit, especially with the Bolt Carbine, because it gives them that extra 12-inch range just to take the board. So say like if they were fighting Tau, or what other units have very good range? Eldari's up there actually. They can actually now at least put some damage down at range before they can get close in to fully deal with what Space Marines can do. And sorry about that. Cunning Hunters, their ability actually helps that, which is each time a unit in this model makes an attack, roll a wound roll of 1, and if they're near an objective marker, you can just reroll the wound roll instead, which actually would help with getting in close, getting involved, and stuff like that. So for that, I'm gonna say that these are also an A.
Sahara Desert. Yeah, and I am the entire desert.
Now we move on to the Thousand Suns, the sandy guys, you know, the ones who are sand, which kind of makes sense because they're sandy boys. Anyhow, we have the Blue Horror starting it off. With a movement of 6, toughness of 3, a saving throw of 7, and 1 wound, they are pretty much useless in my opinion. I mean, they have objective control of 0, so they're not even going to have a use in going and taking objectives. Their ranged weapons sure have -1 armor piercing, but you're rarely going to hit them anyway. Because 4 up save, 4 up ballistic skill, and strength 3. Terrible. You're basically never hitting it. Same with the melee, it's just terrible. Sure, they do have deep strike, so you can get them anywhere on the map, but it doesn't really help because their other abilities are just kind of eh. I mean, split is each time a blue horror model in this unit is destroyed after the attacking unit has finished making its attack. If this unit is not destroyed, roll 1d6 for all that model, and on a 4+, add 1 Brimstone Horror model to this unit, which is okay. You can just put more on the board, but 9 times out of 10 you're not really going to be hitting that 4+. So it's kind of sorry. They then have Sullen Malevolence, which is while an enemy unit is within 6 inches of this unit, if this unit contains 1 or more blue horror model, worsen the leadership characteristic of that models in the enemy unit by 1. Which then again, majority of units have high leadership, apart from like a small handful. So that's also kind of useless. And then Exploding Horrors, which is basically they can blow up, but it only does 1 damage. So you're sacrificing 1 of your own for a chance of killing 1 person. It's just very mediocre. It's not good. So for that, they are going to be a D. Now we move on to the pink horrors, which are basically the exact same as the blue horrors, apart from they have an objective control stat, 1 less leadership, and they have +1 strength on their weapon, and that is basically it. They are also very much terrible, and are also going in D tier, and this is probably the shortest one because there's not really much else to add. They're literally the exact same unit basically, so D tier. Now on to something that isn't completely awful. We have the Rubric Marines with a movement of 6, a toughness of 4, a saving throw of 3. an invuln of 5 and 2 wounds. They, in their stat wise, is actually quite solid. They also have an aspiring sorcerer. You see, he hasn't just claimed the right of sorcerer. He's just thinking about it, so he's an aspiring sorcerer. He'll get there one day, unless he's killed. But he might not be, you just never know. He has the exact same stats, apart from he also has 1 wound extra. Now, when it comes to ranged weapons, they are really good in the armor piercing department. I mean, the Inferno bolt gun has 2 attacks, hitting on 3s, 4 strength, -2 AP, 1 damage. Yeah, that's a lot. That is a lot. Especially for a bolt gun, which you could probably put on like half of them. As well as their other weapons, I mean, the Malefic Curse, anti-infantry 4, devastating wounds, and psychic. That's just going to rip through. Soul Reaper Cannon, devastating wounds. They're all actually really, really good, and even the force melee weapon, and then apart from the close combat weapon, but that's fine. Their ability is the Bringers of Change, which each time a model in this unit makes a ranged attack, reroll a wound roll of 1. If that unit is attacking someone on an objective marker you do not control, you can just reroll the wound roll. So it's actually very, very solid. And because of it, and all their weapons, I believe I'm going to give these an S, because one, the weapons are good. The ability, although I would rather it be maybe something else, probably like sticky, or to be fair, if they're deep strike as well, would make these a lot better. But then I believe that they would be too overpowered and stuff like that. But for the purpose of just the infantry and how they've got on me, especially compared to Blue Horse, I think the biggest thing is that 5-up invuln, especially on the Space Marines. I think it just adds a lot more versatility to them. So that is why I'm going to give them S.
They'll swarm all over you and sting you all at once without warning on a single.
Now on to the Tyranids, the bugs whose literally whole purpose is consume, and probably just vibe after they've consumed. But we're going to start off with the Gargoyles, which have a movement of 12, a toughness of 3, a saving throw of 6 and 1 wound. Like very bad actually, but obviously they're a swarm unit, only costing 85 points for 10 and 170 for 20, which is actually quite good. Their weapons are diabolical as well, being 18 range, 1 attack, 4 ballistic, skill, and 5 strength, no armor piercing, and 1 damage. And their melee being the exact same apart from strength 3, so they're never really hitting. They have deep strike, which, okay, they're a flying unit, so it would help, as well as their ability Wing Swarm, is in your shooting phase after this unit has shot. If it is not within engagement range of any enemy units, it can make a normal move of up to 6 inches. If it does, until the end of the turn, this unit is not eligible to declare a charge. Now, that is probably the most strangest ability I've seen. I mean, not strange. It can be useful, especially say if you want to move back off an objective after wiping out a unit to take your objective. Well, not to take it, but to keep control of it. It's good. But they're not really going to be killing anything. So, for that purpose, I don't know. The movement is really good though. I'm going to give them C. They're not good, but I feel like the movement and the wing swarm, just thinking about it actually, is quite useful. But I don't see these working with deep strike in many situations. So I'm going to, give them a C. Now on to the Hormagaunts in the Tyranids range, which have a movement of 10, a toughness of 3, a saving throw of 5, and a wound of 1. They're basically the exact same as Gargoyles, apart from -2 movement. They have no ranged attack and only have melee, which is... it's actually not terrible, to be fair. 3 attacks, hitting on 4s, strength 3, 1 armor piercing, and 1 damage. Now, It's got a strength of 3, but it's got armor piercing. So surely the strength should be at least 4. Like pushing it just that boundary, because when you think of it, it beats out a lot more if it's at 4. Making these just 10 times better. It also means that they can compete on the same level, like with Space Marines, Rubric Marines. I think Abdari might have a toughness of 4. It can compete with a lot. In the abilities, it has Bounding Leap, which is this unit is eligible to declare a charge in a turn which it advances, which does match them very well. I believe, though, that this unit should have been the one to have sticky objective on, because I believe the next one does. I'm not sure, but I believe it does. Because it would match the, well, what's it called? It would match the characteristic of the Hormagaunts so well. They're supposed to just run around, grab stuff, and leap and tear the enemy to shreds, really. And if you had sticky objective on them, you could legit just put them there and launch onto someone from the objective, which I think would make them more versatile and more better. But because of the melee weapon and the fact that their kit is made around moving quickly and getting involved, I'm gonna give them. Ooh, it's between a C and a B. Give them a B. I'll give them a B. They are very, very like solid in the melee department, which. Now on to the final model in the battle line. Yep, I was second guessing myself, but the final battle line of the Tyranids is the Termagant. With a 6 movement, 3 toughness, 5 save and throw, and 1 wound. They're the exact same as every other Tyranid here, but they're a lot less in the movement department, which is understandable because these aren't supposed to be melee or get around the battlefield quick with flying. So, but in the range weapons that they have, they're very mediocre. They're all hitting on 4s and are very weak, and the melee is horrid. And then their ability is kind of meh, which is once per turn when an enemy unit ends a normal advance, fallback, or a normal advance or fallback move within 9 inches of this unit is not within engagement range of one or many units, it may make a normal move up to D6. It is very and for that reason they are going to be going in D tier as well, yeah.
Shut it!
Now moving on to the Tau, the so-called greater good faction, we have the Breacher team. With movement of 6, a toughness of 3, a saving throw 4 and 1 wound. They're not terrible, if I'm being honest. They're not great, but they're not bad. I mean, the toughness of 3 is very bad, actually. I take back what I said. The range weapons are actually surprisingly good, especially the Pulse Blaster, which like 90% of them have. Well, all of them actually have it, which is 2 attacks hitting on 3, strength 6 minus 1 AP. It's going to be hitting majority of the time. Especially, I know we haven't been talking about heroes a lot, but I have first-hand experience with this one. If you combo these with Cadre Fireblade, they just do 30 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength for 6, minus 1 AP. They're gonna hit so much. Their melee, as we know, is terrible, because town melee is just completely garbage. And their ability is not bad, actually. I mean, it's not great, but it's breach and clear. Each time a model in this unit makes a ranged attack that targets an enemy unit within range of an objective marker, you can reroll for wound roll. Which isn't bad. It's not great, though. And then they have a support turret, which is just a turret. So if I had to rate these, I would rate a solid. I'll rate them a B. I think the fact is their weapon is really good. They are very weak, which brings them down, but they do have an objective kind of based ability, which does bring them up a bit. So yeah, I would say they're a solid B. moving on to the strike team in Vital, they're basically the exact same, apart from they removed the armor piercing off their pulse carbines, and instead have a pulse rifle, which just has 10 more range, which I don't believe is worth it. I mean, the armor piercing in Warhammer is actually so detrimental, especially for like taking out bigger stuff, or even some infantry that have really, I mean, what was it? I think it was Space Marine unit. I think it might have, it's either Rubrics or it was Intercessors that had like a 2-up save, which I think adding that 1 AP to make it a 3 just gives you so much more working room. As well as they have a new ability, which in my opinion is a lot worse. So suppression volley is basically in your shooting phase. After this unit is shot, select one enemy infantry unit hit by one or more of those attacks until the start of your next turn. While this unit is on the battlefield, that enemy is suppressed. While that enemy is suppressed, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from the hit roll. Which is because you could just try and wipe them out, I guess. And with the other one, you would have higher chances of killing them. So for that, I'm going to give these a C. The only reason I'm giving them a C and not a D is mainly because their weapon strength is like above like the normal 3 or 4, so they're gonna have a better chance at hitting when they go through.
Blood for the Blood God!
Now on to the final faction, the World Eaters. Blood for the Blood God, skulls for the Skull Throne. We have some Khorne Berserkers. They have a movement of 8, a toughness of 4, a save throw of 3, which is actually very good, and 2 wounds. Now, the actual stats isn't bad. The 8 movement instead of the typical 5 or 6 is very huge, mainly because they're more melee focused. Which, speaking of melee, is very good. 4 attacks on Chainblade, hitting on 3, strength 4, 1 AP, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce that, but I guess it's kind of my job too, so I'm going to try. The Cornut Eviscerator. I don't know if I got that right, but let's hope I did. So, from their melee and their weapons, they're not bad. I mean, the bolt pistol, strength is 4. It's typical of a bolt pistol, but the ability that they have, which is called Blood Surge, is in your opponent's shooting phase, each time an enemy unit has shot, if any models from this unit were destroyed as a result of those attacks, this unit can make a Blood Surge move. To do so, roll 1d6 and add 2 to the roll. Models in this unit move a number of inches up to this result, but this unit must end that move as close as possible to the closest enemy unit, excluding aircraft. When doing so, those models can be moved within engagement range of that enemy unit. This cannot make a Blood Surge move while in battle shocked, or within engagement range of one or more enemy unit, and can only make 1 Blood Surge move per turn. Which actually works for the Khorne Berserkers to get them in closer, so they can deal more melee damage. These would be a solid. They're an A at the moment, but I reckon what would make them an S for me is if the toughness was higher by like at least 1. I think because when you think of it, they're always going to be in melee range, meaning they're going to be going up against Primarchs with really good melee weapons. They're going to be going up against like Terminators and stuff like that, or hell, that's just Space Marines. If we're going to other factions, there's a lot of melee focus units that will rip through their 4-up toughness really easily. So for that, I'm going to give them an A. And now, I know I've done the whole thing of battle line. It shouldn't be attack focused. It should be like objective focused and stuff like that to win the game. But I do know that Khorne has units that already fulfill that, which is dumb because then they should be in battle line, but they don't. So for that reason, that's why I'm being a little lenient on the Khorne Berserkers. So for that, like I said, I will be giving the Khorne Berserkers an A. And that's the last faction. This video is really, really long, like an hour and a half-ish, basically. Yeah, I'm looking at the time now. So the best ones were actually mainly like the Eldari, Jakari, Grey Knights, as well as a couple Space Marines, mainly Space Marines, funny enough, actually, because we got the Grey Knights, both of their units. We have 2 Space Marine units and a unit of, I forgot the name of them. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. Rubric Marines. There we go. So I've decided that I'm gonna start doing longer content instead, because I think I can do a lot more with it. Like, I can do things like this where I just talk. I know that me talking, I stutter a decent bit, and they're like yeah, which I do apologize for. But I think it just allows a lot more to go into them, as well as I do have some ideas that I want to do, but I have a lack of funding, so it will take a while before them videos are even ready to come out or even be planned. Like, I'll give you an insight on it. One of the ones that I want to do is I'm thinking of my own custom Space Marine chapter that I kind of want to have defending their homeworld against Voton. And essentially I want to build I want to make a set for it, being something like where it has the basic. I don't know if you actually will remember, or any of you have seen it, but the the Yogs cast done a Battle Commander thing on Total War Warhammer when it came out, and it's kind of going to be like that, but there's going to be a whole story behind it and stuff like that, and I want to make stuff that actually is worth watching. I mean, don't get me wrong, watching people paint and all that is the best way to get better at painting. I mean, hell, I'm watching a video now as I'm continuing to edit this from Eons of Battle, so I know that is the actual. A lot of people do like watching it. I mean, hell, I'm prime example. But I want to take Warhammer and put a lot of production into it. Which, saying that, it's funny because I don't have the means of doing it, but maybe one day, hopefully, I will. But with that all being said, thank you for listening to me yap on for an hour and a bit. And if you do prefer the long stuff where I just talk, or I think the next video I'm gonna do, it'll probably be completely finishing off my actually maybe not completely finishing off my towel, but it's going to be on Farsight and a group that he can lead. That's going to be the next one, so that may take me another 2 weeks to complete. Hopefully not, but if it does, I do apologise, and it'll be out in 2 weeks. But yeah, so thank you for listening again, and like I was going to say, if you prefer this, let me know. If not, I would just go back to short. I know I've got 8 subscribers, I'm acting like I got off 100k, but it's good to dream in it. So yeah, if you did enjoy, please like and subscribe. It would mean a lot. And I will catch you in the next one. Goodbye.